Hello. Today's stories come from r/IDontWorkHereLady. We have one longer story today, so let's get straight to it. Get me a coffee or get out. Gotcha. Good luck with the inventory system. Hi, gang. I'm starting to believe that the younger people are, from my point of view, the more entitled some become. I don't know. Backstory: I'm a retired IT guy who still kept tabs with his old workplace, simply because I really enjoyed working there and there was a solid mutual respect between the owners and the staff. So I basically told him that while I am retired, I wouldn't mind lending a helping hand every once in a while should the need arise. However, don't overdo it. This year has turned into a weird year so far, but I can fully understand why they were having some issues, especially in this particular case. Anyway, I need to be a little careful with my write up, but I also really need an outlet. So let's see. An ancient inventory system. Wednesday evening, I finally got home with enough free time to try the recently released update for Grand Theft Auto 5. And just as I was being called in game, my real cell phone also goes off. It's my former boss who was very apologetic, but they had a major issue. One of their more specific clients called out for help because their automated inventory system had stopped working. They could cope, it wasn't an immediate emergency, but this was still a major problem because this was costing them big money. The main issue was that this particular client was still mostly using Windows XP, and we're still using our older automated inventory system, which was co developed by yours truly in Java, using NetBeans as the main interface. For those who don't want to read too many details, skip the next part until the next header and just keep in mind that in computer terms, this was ancient history at work. My company had already moved on towards other solutions. Arnhem, we have a problem. Yeah, I agree that Houston sounds much better, but it is what it is. What do you mean, pushing your luck? Anyway, one of our oldest clients were still using Windows XP because they reasoned that why spend so much money on upgrades when everything works just fine? Eventually, my former work stopped supporting the Java version, but because everything still worked, for the non geeks amongst us, Windows XP end of lifed around 2014. And it's 2022 now at the time of writing. So the client called my former company because their main inventory server running Windows XP stopped working and they were somewhat desperate because all their usual hardware providers told them, upgrade to Windows 10. But that left them with the main question: will this software still work? Just for the record, they got multiple offers to help with the transition from us in the past. Rumor has it that at one time my former bosses offered them an insane discount. It would have cost them money just to make sure things went smoothly. But it still works? Nah, that's not needed. The problem at hand? That NetBeans solution is ancient. And all the original developers who worked on that had long left the company. The only person they still had in their sights was me. As such, I got contacted and was asked if I would be willing to go over there and see what could be done. See, even if they did upgrade things, it still left a huge issue. Extracting all the customized functionality out of the Java software and then porting or rewriting that to be used with the web interface. So today, Friday, time of writing, I dress up in a suit and head over there to see what I can do to identify and maybe fix the problem. I arrive around 1300. No way in heck that I'm going to give up my morning sleep over this. And I am greeted by the manager. We talk a bit about the whole situation, and he explains to me that the main issue is that the XP server doesn't seem capable to contact anything else on the network anymore. I get to work and see that the computer itself is still working, but it would seem that the network card has finally given out. This is a bit of an issue because modern cards don't provide Windows XP support, nor would they even fit anymore. The good part, however, is that we can still extract data from all this, and while I am looking over this small office, an idea dawns on me. Because I still had some more research and work to do, I figured I'd put in my earbuds and ask Bigsby, Samsung's personal digital assistant on my phone, to call my office. All the while, making sure that I had my phone on full display out in the open so that it would be obvious to anyone that I was on a call, and not going insane talking to myself. It got even a bit funny when one of the friendly secretaries asked me if I wanted something to drink. So then I had to backswitch a bit and try not to laugh when my colleague asked me in the background to tell her that he wouldn't mind a coffee himself. My plan was simple: extract all the customized macros we had made, and then maybe we could port all that onto one of our company servers, allowing the client to use the whole platform through a web interface. The main concern would be to move the database. Sure, this would involve costs, but maybe we could sell this idea by allowing more people to access the interface. In the current situation, this was limited, a strict client server setup. So here I was in front of a somewhat disassembled computer, earbuds in, and talking back and forth while my phone was lying on the table next to me. Context: I am the only one wearing a suit around here, and I cannot help be certain that this is what started the whole thing. My talk with the boss had just ended, and I decided I'd keep my buds in for now. Also, because I had a radio app still open on my phone, which responded the moment I touched my right bud. Note: I did make sure not to overdo it. It was background music at best. I could hear everything around me. The entitled CEO. Next moment, someone also wearing a suit enters the room, and he's immediately greeted by the manager who also showed me around. It was also at this time when I found a USB stick which actually worked on this PC. Great! That will help to make a most recent backup. So I fire up the command prompt and make sure the database is shut down. Once I'm sure, I start a copy process on the same command line environment. Then I suddenly hear it. Hey, you, support guy, get me a coffee. I look up and see the guy, who looked to be in his 30s, look at me with expectation. The manager, immediately seeming to realize what is going on, responds, I'll get you a coffee right away, sir. But he's stopped. No, I want him to do it, the guy goes. Sorry, can't help you. I'm busy and don't work here, I respond. What? I said, get me a coffee now, the guy retorts with an obvious smug look on his face. It was then when I knew this was not going to end well. And know what? I couldn't care less either. Not my job. Why not get it yourself? I respond while also starting to round a few things up. I was definitely going to push this, but I wasn't going to blow up the whole project over it either. As I expected, I am your boss. When I say that I want you to make me a coffee, you make me a coffee. Understand? The idiot even slapped the table to get his point across. Okay then, game on. You're not my boss, so get your own damn coffee, I tell him while also giving more priority to the command prompt process in order to hopefully speed up the copy process a bit. The guy obviously did not appreciate someone talking back to him like this. The manager tried to intervene, but after a bit more talking back and forth, I was told, I am the boss around here, you stupid idiot. Either get me my coffee or piss off and get the F out of my company. All translated from Dutch, but the F was definitely a thing here. Suits me just fine. Can I get your signature on that? That you demand me to leave? I ask while handing out my worksheet paper, and for sure, idiot, he tells me when signing. I immediately secured the document and packed up my stuff. Thank you. Good luck with your broken inventory system and have a great weekend, I tell him while I put on my coat. Wait, what? He goes. It's what I've been trying to explain, the manager goes. He's the contractor who is, at this time, I make my way towards the elevator. Well, was fixing our inventory system. The company told me he's the only one who still knows. The door to the office room closes, and that was all I heard. I get onto the elevator, and much to my surprise, I met with a red, out of breath CEO who was looking very apologetic as soon as I exit. The moment I see him, I tell him, You'll have to make a new appointment. He starts down talking the whole thing without even bothering to say the magic word. Seriously, had he apologized then and there? But nope. So I reach the exit, turn around to face him, and tell him once again, Sorry, this idiot is going to do exactly what you wanted me to do. Not my problem that you're too stupid to make your own coffee. And with that, I left. Outside, I immediately called the boss, who was in full support of my decision actions. I was a bit worried about that part, to be honest, and he agreed. They can make a new appointment. This is going to be interesting because the only day I can make this work is Friday next week. No way in heck that I am going to give up my weekend, and I have more important stuff to do next week. Update from personal profile. This was my girlfriend's idea this evening, and I am going to follow up. So, if something related comes up this week, I'm going to share on my profile, especially after the email I just got. I got an email from one of my former bosses this evening stating that we need to talk, urgent. I'm not going to bother you on a Sunday, but can you please call me back tomorrow or let me know if we can talk tomorrow later in the evening? It gets more interesting, and with this new knowledge, I'm also quoting, We found out about Reddit. You're not in any trouble. We actually see options to use this to some advantage. You do what you do, but please do not accept any direct calls from the client for now. Instead, always redirect them to legal. I didn't figure this was worth a whole post, so here you go. Something seems to be brewing. If it's not broke, don't fix it, in my opinion, does not apply to software. or the IT environment in general. It also boggles my mind how many companies get custom systems built thinking that their business is highly specialized, as if their inventory tracking is somehow super different from how everyone else counts things going in and out. And I have to say, way to go, OP. I can't handle when anyone speaks down to others, so good for him for walking out. I'm curious what shenanigans resulted. Let's check out some funny comments and a nod to a classic Reddit story. Ops Chief said, "Well, obviously your suit comes with a cape." OP replied, "No cape indeed, but maybe I can put my underwear over my pants next week. But then again, I'd better not." The filthy daughter in law said, quote, "It still works." Well, yeah, so does keeping your inventory on clay tablets written in cuneiform. Titania T. Rex replied, "Ugh, I have wanted to say something similar at work so many times." Sigh, one day. Someone else replied, "Okay, but just remember that the older it is, the harder and more expensive it will be to migrate the system when it does fail. In some situations, it could even end up being impossible." Horrified Tech said, "What? I'm horrified." Getting the idiot to sign off on it was a nice touch. OP replied, "It's required. If you're a consultant, then getting a sign off for the job is a big deal. This was drilled in our heads back in the day, and it's still somewhat of a second nature now. I didn't even stop to think about it." Camellia Chameleon said, "Reminds me of the noisy gobshite." Okami Takahashi replied, "Oh, the now classic, legendary noisy gobshite posts. What a tragedy." Hold the presses. This gem just dropped as part of a very large update. There was a lot more technical stuff and a lot more content, but I snipped this piece as the TLDR for us, which encompasses most of the conclusion. OP writes about the client company. Since they themselves demanded that the Java expert left the premises, they now had to pay dearly to get him back. Since said Java expert didn't want to go back, they were given a choice. Two of the company programmers on staff would help with the transition, but it would take at least 2 more weeks because these were C# programmers and not Java programmers. My company doesn't have any Java programmers on the payroll anymore. Or we could probably get it done this week, but that was going to cost him because apparently I required persuasion, according to one of my bosses. And once again, this is pure hearsay on my part. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And no, no horse heads in my bed. Thank you very much. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.